What's up, everybody? Welcome in Sweet 16 edition of Bets and Ball Games with Edwards and Greeson as we are recording on Wednesday, March 27th, mid-morning. Before we get going, let's tell you about our great friends at Bet Online, which remains your top sport for all your live betting action, NBA, college basketball, UFC, NHL in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering, news, trends, and predictions. All the hoops betting action, uh, along with every sport available at your fingertips with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's all caps BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. All righty. Mr. Greeson and Mr. Edwards are both eliminated from the tournament in the first weekend, so we're not doing great. Nevertheless, I'll ask the question: how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I've come to the realization that both of my kids, I have a sophomore in high school and a seventh grader, and my seventh grade daughter loves Auburn basketball. I have failed as a parent getting her. I feel like it's borderline child abuse that I have now raised them Auburn sports fans because it's just a lifetime of frustration. It is a lifetime of frustration. Unless, of course, Cam Newton shows up on campus and then all the cosmic tumblers click together and the universe opens itself up to what's possible. But I mean, I just don't really know what to say. I don't think Chad Baker Mazar deserved to get kicked out, but I also think Auburn had a multitude of opportunities to win that game. I know you were less than thrilled with the officiating in the Florida-Colorado game, but Auburn just didn't play good enough when it needed to, and Yale made some shots. So it's the frustration and the glory of this tournament that
Yes.
it is one and done. And if you have one bad day, then you're more than likely going to be done.
Yeah. What did Pearl say about Baker Mazzara afterward? I was at the bar so I could watch a bunch, and there were some Auburn fans in there. And when he got ejected, I was pretty locked into my game. Although I saw it, but a friend of mine, Auburn friend, brought over his phone and showed me Baker Mazzara went straight to his Instagram, was like those crying emojis, what I guess means you're laughing, like as if it's funny what just happened. Oh, and they deleted it a few minutes later and replaced it with I trust my boys. It's like, well, come on, man. What are you
Well,
doing?
to be fair, even as an Auburn graduate, he's been an emotional powder keg really for most of the season. I mean, he plays, and that's good and bad. He plays with a ferocity and an energy that you want, but he also straddles that line and frequently goes over it. I mean, he elbowed the kid in the throat. Now
Yeah.
he was the second one, and there are few rules as universal in sports as the second guy is always the one who gets caught. So the retaliator is the one who's going to get flagged, tossed, whatever. And but that Auburn should be able to beat Yale without Chad Baker Mazzara. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I'm just really happy that those kids from Yale got a break in life. I mean, they've got such a tough road to hoe for their future endeavors that I'm just really glad they're going to be able to make a memory in what's probably going to be a life of digging ditches and wells throughout the greater West Virginia area.
Excuse me. Sure. So yeah, Florida got hosed. His name is Eric Curry. Golden has now gotten 3 career technical fouls. 2 of them were issued by Curry. He issued it after a clean block by Alex Condon, which fouled him out. And if there's a Twitter account, Officiating Observer, is a non-biased guy, old veteran official. He just tweets about officiating, and the way he described it, during the TV timeout, Golden was having a civil conversation with the crew chief, and Eric Curry, who just missed the very important call, who should have been 75 feet away looking anywhere in the arena except for the Florida bench, was not doing that, went and interjected himself into the civil conversation, and Golden said something to him, and he teased him up. So not only did a clean block turn into 2 free throws, but then it turned into another 2 free throws for a tech, and then they kept the ball, and then there was a phantom call on Riley Kugel. I wasn't that pissed about the last play, although he did clearly push off, but I'm kind of a guy, I'm okay with letting them play on those game-winning plays, so I'm not it was the 6 to 7 other calls, and I think every one of them was by the gray-haired official, Eric Curry. That guy should never ref certainly an NCAA tournament game and certainly a Florida game ever again. We got hosed bad, but Kentucky, and wow.
Kentucky, that's inexplicable to me, Brian. I thought all year long this team was made for March. They've got 4 NBA ball handlers. It really looked like Calipari, for the first time since maybe the undefeated team lost to Wisconsin in the semifinals, was vested and engaged with this group. And you're looking up that, is he a good coach? Of course he is. He's a Hall of Fame coach. He's got a natty. He took multiple teams. He's taken multiple teams to title games. But you're just looking up, and it's got a little bit of like how Mark Richt's time in Athens ended, where he's averaging 10 wins a year, but that's not good enough there. So I'm a little surprised with the announcement over the last 24 hours that he'll be back for his 16th season in Lexington. You and I both know a lot of Kentucky fans. I know they are at the end of their rope with this guy.
They've been there. They've been there for a while.
Well, and there was, especially when you close the regular season, going to arguably the 2 toughest places to play, if not in college, if not in the SEC, maybe across a whole bunch of college basketball, and you delivered those performances. Kentucky had talked themselves into believing this was a bunch that was going to make a serious run to the Final Four. And I'll tell you this too, man, and I did some research yesterday on something. When you've got one of those places and you don't make the most, you run the risk of Kentucky basketball turning into what Tennessee women's basketball is. Do you know how many Final Fours the Tennessee women's basketball team has been in the last 16 years? 0. In the previous 16 years, they were in 11 Final Fours. And you just cannot, if you have a legend or have a legendary program, if you're an Alabama football fan, you're real uneasy about what Kalen DeBoer is going to do early in his tenure, because those dynasties and those dominants, it's real easy to take for granted, and it can vanish like a fart in the wind. I'm talking about just that quick. So, at some point you got to wonder, even if Coach Cal is just tired of this.
That's where I was going. Tubby realized when it was just untenable moving forward, and Tubby went and found him another job. He went to Minnesota, and everybody was happy.
Right.
Like, why does Cal want to stay when 90% of the fans want him gone and 75% hate his guts? Why does he want to stay there? Why?
I don't know, because he's also about to stare directly at the light in the end of the tunnel, and it is the train that ran Nick Saban out of college sports. He's not going to be able to go to all these one-and-doners anymore because everybody can buy them. Everybody can pay NIL money now. So, yeah, can Kentucky pay more? Can he say, if you come here and start, you'll sell 20,000 jerseys in the first year, easy. And he's right about that. I mean, Oscar Tshiebwe made more money at Kentucky than he did in the NBA. So, yeah. But his inherent advantage, because his offense is stale and it's predictable, and his inherent advantage has been all the talent he brought to Lexington. I mean, it's a fun game over a couple of cocktails to start looking around about who has the best all-time starting five. Like, I think LSU is probably as good as anybody. But if you're talking about active NBA players right now, if you would give me all of Kentucky's NBA players on one roster, A, I would bust the salary cap, and B, I would go 82-0. And then
right. Yeah. So they're just defensively, they were lost the whole game. And that was the thing with this team all year. They were never committed to defense. And so anyway,
and that's doubly inexplicable against that kid in that game. Yeah. One of the craziest stats I've seen all tournament is in 32 games, he's got like 340 shots, and only 8 of them are inside the arc. I mean, that guy, he breaks out in a hive when he goes inside 20 feet.
He's alert.
Nylon. I mean, he can't get near the net. He's like the boy in the bubble. I mean, on the Seinfeld episode that Costanza insulted.
Hey, and we almost got another game of Oakland. We almost got them another whole week. Oh, man, that would have been fun. But, hey, this NC State story is fun, too. I don't know.
I love the fat guy.
Love DJ Burns.
I
love DJ Burns.
We need more fat people in short pants playing basketball.
Yes. He is. His footwork and his post moves are awesome. And, hey, his cardio is okay, too. They played 5 games in 5 days, and it did not affect him last weekend. Well, overtime game last weekend.
This is going to shock no one who knows me, but in the last couple of years of my time at Auburn, a bunch of us sat on the front row in the student section, and it was right next to the opposing bench. And Corliss Williamson almost killed me one day, wanted to come in the stands and take my head off. On that same team, I made the entire bench laugh, the entire Arkansas bench laugh, because I was a pretty good heckler, and I know that's going to shock you. But I made the entire Arkansas bench laugh when I said, Oliver Miller, I love you, fat man. I love you. I love everything about your game. And the entire place just lost it. And, I mean, it was – I'll tell you another one, an all-timer in –
Dimitri Hill? Demeat Hook?
No, this was actually at an Auburn baseball game. And it was when LSU was at the height of their powers. And they had a great second baseman named Warren Morris, who ended up hitting like a college game-winning
against Miami
home run at Rosenblatt Stadium. But they came to Auburn, and the place got just insanely quiet. And I yelled at Skip Bertman, the then LSU baseball coach, because Warren Morris was a great player, and he was standing out at second base, but he was only about 5'5". And I just yelled, "Hey, Skip, somebody left a hat at second base." And the entire LSU baseball player, every baseball player turned away, and Warren Morris wanted to come in the stands and take a shot. He was livid.
Oh, man. All right, good stuff. So, hey, let's jump into we only have 2 SEC teams. Let's jump into their games, and then we'll jump around to the other games. So, we have Thursday night, tomorrow night. I will be in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we have the second game of the evening session at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. And Bet Online, our great friends, have North Carolina as a 4.5-point favorite against Alabama with a total of 173.5. And the Crimson Tide as I'm pulling up my money lines, and I don't know why it's not popping up my money line prices, but I'm gonna guess that it's plus 180-ish or something, and maybe it'll pop up here in a second. But anyhow, let's Alabama 23-11, straight up 18-15-1 against the spread. North Carolina 29-7, 20-15-1 against the spread. Alabama's incredible run of overs ended in the Grand Canyon game, but we had an easy over. I believe we both had that in the Charleston game last week. So the over is now 25-9 overall for Alabama. Your thoughts on this one?
Well, I think you dance with who got you here, and Alabama's offense. Look, I don't want Nate Oates watching my kids, but that dude can coach some offensive basketball. His teams run and score as well as anybody in America. And I mean, we talk about it all the time. We probably could have, even as deep as they were, Auburn's struggles go back to one of the oldest adages about the tournament is you've got to have a dude at point guard. And Alabama's got a dude now.
Yep. Yeah, he does.
And he gets to the foul line and he shoots 85+% there. And that 4.5 number is really good. My favorite play, if we're going to talk about it, would still be the over because not unlike your reference to Kentucky, Alabama has not fully embraced guarding people either. But it is I expect that game to have a whole lot of pace and have a whole lot of points.
I agree. And I will say, Alabama was struggling mightily coming into the tournament, but I think we both said last week. Oh, and by the way, my money lines did pop up. So our good friends at Bet Online have Alabama at plus 162 on the money line. So I think we noted last week that we thought they got a pretty good draw, and that's why I was like not wanting to fade Alabama with Charleston. And I didn't fade Alabama. In fact, I kind of leaned Alabama in both games, and they did cover in both games. I had the over for a winner in Charleston. I had the over for a loser in Grand Canyon. But I love Carolina in this game. Carolina has won 10 of its last 11 games. All 10 victories have been by 4 or more, which mattered when the line was 4. But now that it's 4.5, this stat matters. 9 of the 10 wins have been by at least 5, and 6 of the 10 wins have been by 9 or more. And the helter-skelter pace that we get in Alabama games, I think that is just what R.J. Davis is going to love. He averages 21 points per game. I think he is going to eat Alabama up. I think Armando Bacot, who averages a double-double, and Harrison Ingram, who nearly averages a double-double, I think they will get plenty of theirs as well. And I like North Carolina a lot in this game, -4. And I'm also making a small play on Carolina -2 in the first half, which I already bet. Now, it might be 2.5 in the first half now that we've seen a little uptick to 4.5, but I would be okay with it at 2.5. So UNC for me, -4 is what I got it at. At 4.5, I'm okay with that as well. And I'm going to leave the total alone, although the over is 11-2 in Bama's last 13. And when they've had totals in the 170s, the over is 6-2. Okay. Anything else on that game?
No, I'm with you on both, but yes.
All right. So let's go. And excuse my scratchy voice, folks, as the pollen is continued, and I'm still having sinus issues. All right, so Friday, and this is going to be the late game again. Um, and this is at Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan. Creighton and Tennessee, probably going to start around 10:10 p.m. Eastern, or 30 minutes after the conclusion of Gonzaga and Purdue. And our good friends at Bet Online currently have Tennessee as a 2.5-point favorite with a total of 144. So, your thoughts, Mr. Greeson?
Well, I think if the most encouraging thing you can say to the Tennessee fans is they're still breathing with Dalton Connect playing the worst game he's played all season. But that's a good thing. I mean, finding ugly ways to still remain in the bracket is a great thing, because he's too good of a player for you to expect that to be the norm. I actually think this is a great spot for Tennessee, especially getting them after the full 4+ days of rest, because I know Creighton's good. I know Creighton's got a lot of skilled basketball players. Tennessee locks you down defensively. They are relentless. And the one thing, and I challenge our listeners and you when you're watching Tennessee, Zakai Ziegler makes your point guard work so hard just to get the basketball within 40 feet of the rim. I mean, it is hard work for him to get the inbounds pass, to get it up, to start the offense, and you're already 10 to 12 seconds into a shot clock. It is a gift that Zakai Ziegler hounds the on-ball pressure like he does. So I don't think Creighton is completely ready for what they're going to see. They're good. They're good. I am not bashing a team that a lot of people don't recognize their name, and this is not necessarily a pro SEC conversation. I don't care who wins. I just think Tennessee is better equipped in this matchup.
And so I was thinking about that, and Stephen Ashworth, and I was thinking about, okay, are his shots going to be falling in the second half when, look, I was a point guard. There's nothing you hate worse than a guy who's quicker than you, who's going to guard you for 75 to 80 feet, and it is
who's in better shape than you, so
right.
He's not going to get tired, and he doesn't foul. And I mean, I can remember when those guys. I was not a point guard. I played. I'm a 6'4" guy who played on the perimeter and did a bunch of different things. But when those athletic guys who just are more athletic than you, you just look up and you hope that when the horn sounds, that's the guy going to the bench.
Yeah. Or that you're going to the bench to get a break. But I will say, that was a double overtime game last week. And I tweeted it multiple times. I'm talking about Creighton, Oregon. I kept saying at the start of both overtimes, Creighton looks fresher to me. They look fresher. And I'm looking like Shireman and Alexander never came out. They both played 50 minutes. Kalkbrenner, he's 7'1". He played 49 minutes. Ashworth played 42 minutes. And I specifically remember him hitting 2 enormous 3-pointers I don't know if one was in double OT and one was in OT. So now he wasn't getting involved.
I will answer that with this, because while it's a testament to their conditioning, Tennessee's going to bang on you.
Oh, no, I know. He wasn't getting ball pressure.
Tennessee physically wants to get you in foul trouble because they're deeper than you. So if it becomes a really physical game, and those guys who you just mentioned, 4 guys who came out of a double overtime win for a collective 2 minutes, if any of those dudes get into foul trouble, that is a huge edge to Tennessee, because not only are they physical 1 through 5, they're going to be better than Creighton 6 through 10.
Yeah, in a double overtime game, they played 8 guys, but the eighth guy barely played. I mean, they basically played 7 guys in a double overtime game. You're kind of talking me into Tennessee a little bit. So here's where I am. So I've got a 40-1 Creighton ticket, and I was just going to sit this game out. But should I buy a Tennessee future ticket at 14-1? Or should I buy a Tennessee plus 220 ticket to win the region? Or should I buy a Tennessee minus 155 ticket money line just to win this game? So that way I'm going to win what? Well, my 40-1 stays alive.
Right.
It doesn't win.
See, I don't know if you want to get that diversified on this Sweet 16 game until you see what happens if Gonzaga can figure out a way to beat Purdue, then start moving shell pieces, because Purdue right now is a mother. And I mean, everybody, Zach Edey is Mike Tyson in his prime. Everybody thinks they got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Everybody thinks they got a plan until they actually got to guard that 7'5" bookshelf. So, I mean, all bets are off on who gets out of that regional and whatever else, because Purdue is a hurdle.
So yeah, you made a good point, because if Gonzaga wins, the Tennessee
Creighton winner is going to be favored.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then that changes everything, and then I think I do. The odds to win the region will be off the board, but I think I do consider either taking Tennessee on the money line, or if Creighton gets out to a lead, making a live bet on Tennessee. So yeah, so that's where I'll just kind of make my decision based on how that Gonzaga Purdue game pans out. So basically, I'm a pass. You have an official play on?
Yeah, I'll be on the Vols Friday night. I'll be on the Vols, and the thing that scares me the most is the preacher man standing over there on the bench, because I don't know how good of an in-game coach Rick Barnes is.
And you just gotta worry about his just deplorable history in the tournament. Although, as I say that, like, his plan against Duke in the round of 32 last year was just a masterclass. I mean, that was just beautiful, the way they bullied Duke, and he outcoached Shire in that game. So he's
and
still
that was doubly enjoyable, because dear Lord, did it fly all over Jay Billis, who turned into the biggest titty baby about that whole game.
Yeah, he was whining. He was whining. And it wasn't like, well, never mind. I'll leave that.
Right.
Whatever's on the tip of my tongue, I'll leave it out. All right, so are we putting this one to bed?
Yeah. I think it's probably a pretty good time to update some of your who you've still got tickets on. I had Auburn and I had Kentucky tickets, and they are now both as worthless as cocktail napkins. So, but it maybe even some odds from our prop odds to win the whole thing from our Bet Online friends.
Yes. So, do you have a computer in front of you?
Yes.
Can you pull up those Bet Online future odds while I explain where I am on future odds? Okay, so obviously I got my 40-1 Creighton ticket. I have my 70-1 Clemson ticket, which I'm sure everybody's like, oh, really? I bought it the day after Clemson won at Alabama. The future odds right now on Clemson are 80 to 85-1. So I'm not bragging that I have a 70-1 ticket. Anybody can go buy a ticket with better odds at the moment. I also have a 10-1 ticket on UConn. Now, nobody can go get that, and that's a pretty substantial bet. And I put more on them at 5-1 last week before the tournament started, which isn't the best number, but I just don't think anybody's got anything for these boys. Do you have the Bet Online odds to give us the futures?
I haven't gotten them yet. No.
Okay, no worries, no worries. All right, so anyhow, I'm just gonna start talking about the UConn game, which is the first game of the session in Boston at TD Garden. Right now, Bet Online has got the Huskies minus 11 with a total of 136. And I love UConn every single way you can bet them in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know if anybody's got anything for them. They are UConn. To your point, if you've got them at 10-1, they are now at plus 210 to win all.
Yeah. You want to rip off all those future odds if you're looking at them?
Sure. Houston is next at plus 550. Then Purdue, who we talked about, at plus 600. Arizona is the favorite coming out of that regional as the 2 seed at plus 800 to win it all. Carolina at plus 1,000. Tennessee, Marquette at plus 1,400. And the first one that really jumps out to me is Iowa State is still at plus 2,200 because Iowa State turns you over so much.
Okay. It's not going to happen. But let's say San Diego State beats UConn, and you can pick one team, not necessarily based on the odds, but UConn loses Thursday night. You got one team. Who you picking to win it all?
I'm probably going to stay with the conversation we just had about Purdue because, and yeah, they're scary, but two things really play into my thought process about Purdue. One, they've got the most unmatchable force. You just can't put somebody out there and say, hey, go slow down the 7'5" guy. And the other thing is I think so many of those kids were part of last year's utter disaster losing as a 1 seed that I think they understand the finality and the magnitude of this moment. So do I think UConn is the right pick as the favorite? Of course. They've got 3 NBA first rounders on there coming and walking out of the tunnel. But if you tell me UConn gets bounced Thursday night, I think Purdue is the next best choice.
And Virginia, the only other 1 seed to lose to a 16 the next season.
They won it all because the referee screwed Bruce Pearl's Auburn Tigers.
I'm not going to disagree with that. Yeah. So I'm not going to say Purdue, though. I would say
you're believing in the Tar Heels, aren't you?
I am. I think I'm believing in the Tar Heels. And, I mean, they got off to the Michigan State jumped on them fast. I mean,
yes.
Michigan State got off to a double-digit lead, and North Carolina, I think they were still down 9 with 10 minutes left. And, boy, they flipped a switch, and they were up by 9 at halftime, and that game was over early second half. And I thought that was impressive. And that's another team trying to make amends.
You read my thought bubble. That's another team that understands how fleeting this is and the opportunity before you, because they weren't even dancing last year.
No, and they were what was it, a 16 or 18-point lead at halftime 2 years ago in the title game. It was the biggest lead ever blown in a title game. Oh man, they feel like us Falcons, man.
Yeah.
What a badge of honor. And then they don't even get back to the tournament. But now here they are, and 3 of their key players, R.J. Davis, Baycott, and Ingram, are their 3 best players, and they were all key parts of both of those teams. So, yeah, I would take Carolina. But that's just did you want to run down the rest of those odds, or did you?
The just some of the ones of note. Alabama's at plus 4,000. NC State and Clemson are at plus 10,000. Feels kind of long for Duke at plus 2,500, doesn't it?
Hey, if they're shooting the ball from 3 like they did last week,
Right.
and we'll start ripping off all these games. If you like Houston, and I don't know if you do or not, we haven't discussed that yet. And I don't like that game because I don't trust Houston offensively.
I
I don't
agree.
I don't trust Sampson's in-game adjustments. And the biggest thing, though, if for anybody who likes Houston a lot, which I wouldn't blame them if they like them, I would be scared shitless how this game's going to get officiated. I would be so scared. I
Well,
think that's
Houston's
legit.
already physical, and they pride themselves on being one of the actually statistically by almost every metric the best defensive team in the country. And if Duke starts running a parade to the foul line, I mean, hey, West Virginia did everything almost physically possible to beat Caitlin Clark in Iowa on Monday. But did you see the discrepancy in foul shots between those two
You
teams?
you told me about it last night, and I
Iowa
couldn't
shot
believe it.
30 free throws. West Virginia shot 5.
Wow. So, I mean, this was a blowout last week, early and often. But I will say that James Madison's best player, Terrence Edwards, got a completely nonsense foul number 2 with like 2 minutes into the game. Just him and Filipowski battling for position on the post. And again, I think you gotta be legit concerned about how the game is going to be called if you're Houston. But I want to go back to UConn because I want to explain my picks, and I want to be very clear that. And by the way, this is an early game Thursday. These are my biggest bets of the weekend. So UConn, I got them at -10. They're -11 now. I still think that is a bargain. They have in 20. They're 33-3. 23 of their wins are by 13 or more. 25 are by double-digit margins. San Diego State had to play the latest game on the board Sunday night after media, probably did not get back to San Diego 3-ish in the morning. So, and probably had to fly to Boston across country. I guess they probably flew last night.
In what will be a crowd that is at least 75% Huskies.
True road game.
Yes.
I mean, in terms of crowd support, I mean, how many people are San Diego State going to bring to Boston? 5,000, maybe?
That seems mighty high.
That's
I
what I was
mean,
thinking. Yeah, that I was kind giving them that number. So, um, tough travel circumstance, and yeah, and a true road game. So I also like UConn -6 in the first half, and I also like their team total over 73.5. I actually got 72.5, but I still like it at 73.5. So UConn, they've scored 74 at least in 28 of 36 games. They average 81.6. Ken Palm ranks the Huskies number 2 in offensive efficiency, number 4 in 2-point percentage, number 5 in effective field goal percentage. And they were 3 of 22 from 3-point land in the game against Northwestern last week, and still led by 30, won by 17, covered the first half and the game and the team total over, going 3 of 22 from 3-point land. So those are my 3 plays. UConn -11, -6 in the first half, team total over 73.5.
It's impossible not to like. Of those 3, the one I like the most is UConn in the first half because of tired legs, because of the energy in the building. The numbers prove out that UConn certainly offensively would be expected to go over that. The one thing that would give me a little pause is the only way San Diego State can stay in this game is to play slow. And that's how they prefer to play anyway. They're outside the top 220 teams in America in possessions per game. But I think the way you phrased it, almost every team side you can take points you towards UConn. Almost every feeling, whether it's gut, whether it's analytics, whatever it is, matchups, all of it just points you towards this being the game that they click off pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I'm not against their team total in the first half over 35 and a half or 36, but at that point you're getting heavily invested in UConn. But that might not be a bad thing. All right, we done with this one?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to the earlier game, or no, I'm sorry, the late game in Boston that night, Illinois and Iowa State. Wow, it's a good matchup. All right, our friends at Bet Online are like most other books. They have Iowa State minus 1.5 with a total of 146.5. So I like Illinois. It's a smaller opinion. I certainly am more invested in North Carolina, and we'll get to Clemson and UConn. But I am on Illinois. Again, not a major opinion. I just I kind of prefer them. Underwood, finally getting to the second weekend for the first time. I don't have a bunch of cute stats. Just give me the Illini.
I would go the other direction primarily just because of the way Iowa State pressures the basketball and they turn you over just relentlessly. And I mean, this isn't like football turnovers where a tip pass becomes an interception or somehow the ball gets bounced around and it turns into a fumble. When you are turning teams over as consistently as Iowa State does, then it's just part of your MO. And I think that travels with you whether you're going to Boston or Bangladesh.
I was not involved in any Iowa State games last week until they were trailing Washington State for most of the first half. In fact, I mean, they were down by like 8 early. I got a little bit of Iowa State minus 2.5 in game, and that ended up working out. So that was my only involvement with Iowa State last week. So, wow. So I'm looking at their page now. So Iowa State, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 in a row, both straight up and ATS, for those wondering. All right. So you like Iowa State. I like Illinois, but again, a small opinion. Okay, let's go to the the early Thursday game at Crypto.com Arena Thursday night in LA. As our friends Bet Online, they have Arizona -7 at a minus 115 price with a total of 152. So if you like Arizona, Bet Online is your place to go because most other spots are at 7.5. What are you thinking on this one, Jay?
Well, I think one of the things in the narrative about how the Pac-10 showed up a little bit better than maybe a lot of us expected, and I think Arizona actually. I think I am one on my bracket here at the Times Free Press. I think I've got Arizona in the Final Four, which is kind of at odds with your North Carolina love. But Arizona is going to be a tough bounce. I mean, at least on Thursday.
It's going to be a home game.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be almost. Well, it may be just as much a home game for them as UConn. Arizona fans travel. I mean, I was at the '94 Final Four. Was Florida Duke Arkansas and Arizona, and Arizona was by far the furthest team from home, and I think it was probably a tie for who had more fans between Duke and Arizona. And I feel like I've been in another tournament where they had tons of fans. But anywho, um, so are you liking Arizona?
I am. I'm on Arizona in this one.
Okay, I am not. I like Clemson. Um, they played great last week. They only trailed for 30 seconds in 80 minutes of play. They jumped on New Mexico 30-11, led 42-28 at halftime. The Lobos never got closer than 13, and Clemson won by 19. PJ Hall got in foul trouble. 19 minutes is all he played. Um, and then against Baylor, they led by double digits most of the or a good chunk of the game by as many as 15. And sorry about my voice, guys. Brutal. And the Clemson won 72-64. Again, PJ Hall only played 19 minutes. So he's a guy that averages 18.8 points per game and was not much of a factor last week. And Clemson has been an underdog 9 times, 8-1 ATS, 6 outright wins, including wins at Bama, at Pitt, at UNC, beat TCU in Toronto, got hosed at Duke, lost by 1, should have won. You remember that? The bad call?
Yeah.
And lost by 2 at Memphis, but covered. So I like Clemson plus 7.5. All righty. What else do we have? Did we? Oh, we did talk Gonzaga. Did we talk Gonzaga Purdue? Yes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I mean, I tell you, it's an amazing stat that Mark Few and the Bulldogs they're now in the Sweet 16 for the 9th straight year. That I know he has not won it, but that's a level of consistency. I know Kentucky fans and Auburn fans would are a little envious of as we head to the second weekend of the dance.
I've always said this. I think, and it doesn't matter what your expectations are. If you're preseason number 1 or you're whatever on the bubble all year, in the one and done type scenario that we have with the tournament, if you get to the Sweet 16, that's a really, really good season. Because, you got a chance to win it all. There's only 16 teams left. I think that's the barometer. I don't care if you're preseason number 1. You cannot say your season was not a success if you get that far. 9 in a row is super duper impressive.
Yes.
Yeah, no doubt. So here's one we haven't talked about. NC State and Marquette. Early game, South Region, Friday, American Airlines Arena in Dallas. Our friends at Bet Online have Marquette minus 6.5 with a total of 151. What you think?
I do love the fat guy at NC State, man. And
DJ Burns.
They're playing with so much confidence, but they're clearly, Shaka Smart's bunch plays so well together.
And
how much of Marquette have you watched? Because they
a lot.
They share the basketball. He has really got complete buy-in from just across the board, and
Kolek's fine, by the way.
Okay.
He's fine. He's healthy.
This is a pass for me because I'm going to cheer for NC State.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about this. I know you can't make all your decisions with your heart, but if you know you're going to watch a game, it's almost impossible for me to bet against the team I'm going to be cheering hard for, because then you're so conflicted that, I don't know, it's just a difficult scenario for me.
Well, here, tell me what you think of this plan. This is my plan, is to pass pregame. And if Marquette gets out to a pretty good lead, not, I'm not talking about blowout, but let's say Marquette is up, whatever, 6-10, um, at the under 12 timeout in the first half, or, up by 7 or 8 at the under 8 timeout of the first half. But, Marquette's making shots. Maybe NC State is just getting good shots, missing, but I feel okay about it, how NC State's playing, and I can get NC State plus 11 or 12 live. That I would be looking for NC State to get double digits. Now, flip side, if NC State's got a 4-point lead or a 6-point lead at the under 12 or under 8 timeout in the first half, I mean, it'll still be Marquette favored at that point. We would have to wait to get like at the under 16 or under 12 timeout of the second half and NC State be up 4 or 6 for us to maybe get Marquette and pick them. But, in other words, if I can get Marquette live bet -3 or less, I'd be interested. If I can get NC State plus 11 or 12, I'd be interested. So that's kind of how I'm going to approach it.
Well, especially in the second half, because Marquette's balance is just hard to prepare for. And so a second half with an NC State team. Here's the other thing that I'd be real careful about NC State, because they've been on such a magic carpet ride.
Right.
If those lug nuts start to come loose, the wheels could fall off. And
sure.
So, but I'm going to enjoy watching it, but I don't know if I will be invested in that one.
Gotcha. Okay. Have we covered it? Duke Houston? Did we? I remember.
Yeah, we did. Because you're worried about how the game's going to be officiated.
Yes, I am. So as we close here, what do we think? Like, so UConn against Illinois or Iowa State. I mean, they're not going to be double-digit favorites, but
It's going to be a healthy 7.5.
Oh yeah. If not 8, yeah. Would you have? I mean, I think I'm just rolling with UConn the rest of the tourney, probably. Now, again, I would want to see the number, but I definitely would have UConn winning that game. You?
Absolutely. UConn's I'm a little just going back to how we opened the show. I'm disappointed that this is not Auburn conversation about to match up with UConn, but I think UConn would be close to the same size favorite.
Yeah, and you'd be pissed off if you're playing a true road game.
Well, I mean, we talked about that on After Selection Sunday. I mean, Auburn, they should have. We never mentioned how much they got hosed by seeing Yale in round 1, but it was going to be climbing Everest to get back to the Final Four.
Yeah. Arizona and Carolina would be a very good matchup in the Elite Eight.
It would be. And that'd also be an over-under in the mid-170s, if I had to guess.
It'd be up there. It'd be up there for sure.
Vegas is telling us that Arizona might be a point or two favorite there.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I was going to say around Pick'em, or I'm not sure who would be favored there. I wonder who would be favored. Well, Tennessee. We said Tennessee and Creighton would be favored over Gonzaga. I wonder how much Purdue would be favored over Tennessee and Creighton. 5-ish or 6, maybe. Maybe not that many, because they're only favored by 5 or 5.5 to Gonzaga. Yeah, so less actually.
I think the perception might be a little greater. It could be 5 to 6 if it's Creighton, just because the name matters in the general betting population. But I think it would be shorter than that if it's Vols.
I tell you what, if Marquette looks really good and beats NC State by double digits, and Houston and Duke have a war, and let's say Houston wins by 3 or 4, give me Marquette catching a few points against Houston. I think Marquette would win outright.
Well, I do too. I actually, and give me Marquette. They'd probably be giving Duke 2 or 3, but that's a great matchup for Shaka Smart's team.
And what'd you say Marquette's future number is at Bet Online? Do you remember by chance? Was
Yeah,
it?
it's plus 1,400.
Huh. Interesting. And maybe that's a team that could challenge UConn because Kolek can control pace, control what shots they're going to get. Now, you don't think anybody's got anything for UConn, do you?
I really don't.
I don't either. I don't either. I don't either. All right. Tell them about Jay's plays and all that good stuff.
Jay's Plays is our afternoon email newsletter that offers the 2 best plays, or in some cases more than that, each weekday, Monday through Friday, from timesfreepress.com. You can sign up there. We followed Brad Edwards' advice and made a little hay last night on the Georgia Bulldogs with a road win in the NIT. And I think we are right back to plus 100 units, which is normally a guaranteed 3-game losing streak. So we'll see how it goes. And you can follow my stuff online at timesfreepress.com. And I write the 5 at 10, which is 5 things I'm thinking about at 10 a.m. each morning. Today, we talked about the new kickoff rules in the NFL and how Caitlin Clark's 2 NCAA tournament games so far in this women's draw are the 2 most watched women's basketball games that did not happen in the Final Four ever.
Wow. That is impressive. I'm starting to lean VCU plus 8 at Utah tonight in the NIT. You can follow me on Twitter at Vegas B Edwards. I'll be tweeting in-game opinions from Las Vegas. I
That
apologize.
Twitter handle is never more true than the next handful of days. And we're going to have to get Bet Online on the blower to set an over-under on the number of Budweisers your liver goes through over the next handful of days with in sports books with the NCAA basketball in the background.
It could be a heavy amount. That is for sure. And I can't wait to get out there. Flying out early Thursday morning. Want to wish everybody best of luck with your bets, and obviously to Bama and Tennessee fans, good luck. Even
That
though
hurt a little bit, didn't it? That hurt a little bit.
No, I always root for the SEC in the tournament, but I've got a 40-1 ticket on Creighton, and I'm betting UNC. So, but good luck anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Good luck anyway. All right. I think that'll do it. Thanks to Southeastern 14. Thanks to Bet Online. We'll have a Final Four show next week, and we are over and out.